This is Your Life, this, the world-famous Theatre Royal in London's Drury Lane, outside where I'm playing the Invisible Man for the moment, and you'll soon see why. I'm here to surprise two characters who've hit the show business scene with a big bang, and they're arriving now. You can probably see them by now, but I can't. Although I'll know when they're close enough, and so will they.
I hope you weren't rocked half as much as I was coming out of that cannon. I hope you don't mind me gate crashing the double act. But we're ready for takeoff at the television theatre, our own one just around the corner, so that we can say to star comedians, cannon and ball, tonight, this is your life.
Oh, God, I can't believe it.
I can't believe this.
All right, but this is your life on a bike. God.
Get me a cigarette.
Well, I don't know who got the bigger fright, you fellas or me there.
So.
Well, Tommy Cannon and Bobby Ball, this is your life, and yours is a friendship as well as a professional association that was welded when, appropriately enough, you worked together as welders at the factory of Bowden Trailers in Shaw Road, Oldham, nearly 20 years ago.
There's Tommy.
You used to have workmates doubled up laughing at your banter as you worked side by side, and I guess you'd no idea then that one day you'd have millions laughing as stars of your own television show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cannon and Ball.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be here. Now then.
What? What are you doing up there?
Start again.
And down those steps have come some famous names.
Look, I am very busy. Now, what exactly is your complaint?
Complaints. With a million of them. I've made a list.
The wicked Cardinal Richelieu. He tries to get rid of me.
Get rid of you? There's a lot of mileage left in you. Rock on, Lena.
Three talented ladies who've guested on different shows in your series, but fellas, tonight you get them all at once. They're here. Diana Dors. Faith Brown after Diana Dors, of course. June Whitfield.
Thank you, Faith.
Obviously great fun anyway, working with these two boys.
Oh, fantastic. I've always been a great fan of both of them, and I'm very proud to say that I was their first leading lady when they made their acting debut as the Three Musketeers.
Very true.
As the
very
Two
true,
Musketeers.
Two Musketeers.
June, one of Britain's favourite comedy actors, what's it like acting with these two from your point of view?
Oh, it's quite an experience, really, Eammon. I really enjoyed it, but as far as acting is concerned, I think they've got it belted and braced.
Oh.
I mean, Bobby's got the belt and Tommy's got the braces.
Faith, have you added these two to your act yet?
Rock on, Tommy! Rock on, Tommy!
I tell you, I must tell you this, Eammon. When we had more takes on that day when I was doing my bit with them than we had at the Chinese takeaway. Can you imagine them breathing down my neck, going, oh, yeah, doing the whole bit? They're absolutely wonderful to work with. Absolutely
Thanks
fantastic.
Thank you, Dan.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
While this is your life and Long before you shot to fame as Cannon and Ball, you, Tommy, were born Tommy Derbyshire in Dunkerley Street, Oldham, on June the 27th, 1938. Just 6 years later, you, Bobby, were born Bobby Harper, and the family home was at Grange Road, Shaw, near Oldham. Now, you were brought up just a few miles apart, but in those days didn't know each other. Today, your homes are still in Oldham, which is where, naturally, you thought your two families were today. But this time, as you know now, the gag's on you because they're here. Tommy, your wife Margaret and daughters Julie, age 17, and with her husband Ian, daughter Jeanette, who's 20. And Bobby, your wife Yvonne, with daughter Joanne, age 9, and sons by your previous marriage, Darren, who's 12, and 16-year-old Robert. Margaret, I've noticed that Tommy tries to work a romantic ballad into the act if he can. Would you describe him as a romantic?
Yes, he is really, yes.
Why do you say that?
Well, when we were courting 23 years ago, Tommy was in the building trade working as a labourer, and he used to send me photographs of himself with love messages on the back.
Well, I can tell you, Tommy, Margaret's quite a romantic herself because she's kept those photographs and brought a couple with her. Here's one. Now, what's on the back of that one, Margaret? What's written on the back of that?
Ronnie Carroll.
To the most wonderful girl in the world, love, Tom.
And this one? There's a handsome man.
To Margaret with all my love from Tom.
Well
Ronnie Carroll.
Yvonne, was Bobby here just as romantic when you two first met?
Hardly, Eammon. We met at a party with mutual friends, and it was very, very crowded. And there was no seats for anybody.
Are you nervous?
Very. So I went over to pinch his seat and he shouted, "Don't you pinch my seat." Anyway, eventually I agreed to go out with him, but he made me walk on the pavement. He walked on the pavement, I walked on the roadside because I'm 5 inches taller.
See, look.
Darren, I know for a fact that at schools all over the country, your dad must be one of the most impersonated men in Britain. It's the same at your school, is it?
Definitely, Eammon. They all do him.
Including you?
Yeah.
Show us.
Rock on, Tommy!
Well, one of Britain's best-known catchphrases, but what's very little known about you two are the shows you do to raise money for causes close to your hearts. Research into leukemia is one. And another, a school back there in your hometown. A school for 30 or 40 children aged between 10 and 16 whose future well-being, through no fault of their own, needs special care. And yours is not just a token gesture, but something that really is marvellous. For Bobby, living just round the corner from that school, the door of your home has always been open to those children. In fact, Cannon and Ball have scored a very big hit at Greenbank School.
Okay. Set the ball back then.
Rock on, Tommy. Aye, Bobby. Thanks to you, we're the best dressed team in the league. Hope we get the results to match.
And here's your old pal, Ken Kent, who organises all those charity shows that you do.
Well, Bobby, this is the kids' impression of you. Tommy, I think they're still working on yours and having trouble with it. What I would like to say, lads, is a very personal thank you on behalf of all the local charities, because as you know, over the years, we've been involved in very many. So on behalf of everybody, lads, thank you very much and have a great night. You deserve it.
And since we filmed in Oldham, the boys and girls at Greenbank School did complete their portrait of Tommy, and here it is with Ken Kent himself. A very good one it is, too, and you can give it to him later. Thank you, Ken Kent. Well, fellas, back in your own childhood days, the trappings of success were in a different world. Tommy, you were only 4 years old when your late parents' marriage broke up. Your mother had to go out to work in the cotton mill, but there was never a shortage of babysitters, for a sister of your mother had 7 daughters.
And in those days, we worked a rota system when our catchphrase was, "Rock-a-bye, Tommy."
Those babysitting cousins of yours, Hilda, Gladys, Joan, Shirley, Irene, Edith, and Joyce. And last but not least, she's made the journey at the marvellous age of 81, your Auntie Alice. Hilda, tell me, was Tommy much trouble to babysit for?
There was occasion I used to babysit, and I was only young myself then, but I used to get very tired soon, so I used to climb in bed with him.
But tell me, Irene, did little Tommy not get fed up having all girls looking after him?
Oh, yeah. We weren't all girls, Eammon. We had a brother, and Tommy became very fond of him. And he was more like a big brother to him.
This was the brother that later, I gather, took you to play football in the park, Tommy.
Yeah.
You remember him?
Yeah. Are you crying?
Ah, stop. Well, 27 years ago, Tommy, you did cry when he sailed away to start a new life in Australia. You haven't seen him from that day to this, but we've flown him 13,000 miles from Sydney, the Seven Sisters' only brother, your cousin, Fred Swift. Fred, tell me, what do you remember most of those babysitting days for young Tommy?
Well, there's no problems, really. He used to go to bed pretty early for my sisters, but when I used to babysit for his mother, he played up a little bit, and I had to persuade him to go to bed, but eventually I did. And
why did you want to persuade him so bad to go off to bed? Sounds a bit unfair.
Well, I was courting at that time.
Thank you, Fred Swift. All right. Alice, you got quite a family there.
I'm very pleased to be here tonight for our Tom and Bobby, but I'm just sorry that my sister can't be here. She died 2 years ago. My sister Edith. I missed her very much.
And I know she would have been proud, Tommy. In fact, there is your late mother pictured with your Auntie Alice. Bobby, when you were a youngster, you didn't need a babysitter because there was a nursery at the cotton mill where your mother worked, so she used to take you with her to work. They sometimes had lunch break concerts in the mill canteen, modelled on the old radio show Workers' Playtime. And you'd be up there on the makeshift stage giving them a song when you were only 6. There you are, belting out a number. Must have been country and western, judging by the J.R. Wellies you're wearing.
No, that's all we could afford. They were plastic.
In one of the most requested numbers you did, you had an 8-year-old partner.
Yes,
There's a rich Maharaja of Magadar.
That partner of yours 30 years ago, of course, your sister Mavis, and with her your mum and dad, May and Bob, and a great pal of yours, Mavis's husband, Trevor.
Oh, man. Where's the cat? Put it on. How are you? How are you?
Mavis, that ostrich feather was part of Bobby's big production number, wasn't it?
That's right, Eammon. It was when he was dressed as a Maharaja. And he used to have a big silk turban. He used to have a big silk turban on, which my mum had made him, and a big red ruby, which he'd specially got from Woolworths, and a long silk robe and pantaloons to match, and he even had pointed slippers on. And I used to dress as a slave girl and walk behind him and fan him like this.
Thank you, Mavis.
It's all big pasta.
But May, Bobby actually made his first broadcast when he was just about out of nappies.
Yes, he was 2 years old and he did a woman's hour. She came to the mill where I was working.
Cotton mill woman, weren't it?
Oh, yes.
Hard days.
Yeah, hard days. And she came to this cotton mill anyway. You've knocked me off, Bobby.
Sorry.
He does it with me, Mother.
Anyway, he couldn't sing the song, he had to sing so. He did a poem what the father learned him.
Well, what did he do, Bob?
Well, I'll never forget it, Eammon. He gave a little poetry, and it went on the air. And there were millions heard it. And then her Bobby sang it.
Was a little pony.
Ah, that's it. I had a little pony. His name was Dapple Grey. I lent him to a lady to ride a mile away. That's it.
Well done. Well, Bobby, we've been hearing, as they say in Oldham, you could tell the tale of it even when you were only 6. Remember the time when you were wearing some new clothes and fell into the muddy water just to the edge of a mill reservoir? You know you're going to get what for from your mum when you get home, so you turn to your best pal who's there with you.
And you said, we'll have to think of something or my mum will kill me.
That same pal from 30 years ago, Dennis Henthorne. So, Dennis, on the way to his house, the soaking Bobby asked you to embroider the tale a little bit.
Yes, he asked me to dramatise it a bit, which we did. And by the time we got home, he'd fell in, sank twice, and going down for the third time when I managed to grab him by his hair and pull him out, which did work because his mother didn't shout at him, and I got 2 and 6 reward.
As the man who saved his life.
As the man who saved his life. And it was 20 years on that May, we was visiting, me and my wife.
Harper, Dennis.
Mrs. Harper found out we were visiting, and we told her the truth. And I felt a bit bad because she told us then as it was the last £5 in her purse.
May, is that true? Was it your last £5?
The last £5, and it was 30 years after until I got to know, with this £5, pair of them spent it on Mars bars.
Thank you, Dennis Henthorne. Well, Tommy, your school days at Moorside Junior School, then the Blue Coat School, and after working as a labourer in the building trade, you become a welder. And you, Bobby, go to Crompton House School in nearby Shaw, just a few miles from Tommy's school. And when you leave, you have an assortment of odd jobs before you two start to work at Bowden Trailers as a welder. Now, the two of you hit it off from the start and form a singing duo, entertaining at local pubs in the evenings under the name of the Shirell Brothers. But the comedy side of the act started to take shape at work.
Hello, Bob. Hello, Tom. You always had us in stitches, you know, when we worked together on the shop floor. I'll never forget one day, I came to work in a special pair of boots, steel toe caps. I said to you, you ought to get some of these, you lads. Good boots. Anyway, later on that day, Bob, we was working alongside one another, and I realised there was something wrong. I looked at you, Tommy, and you were falling about laughing, you. And Bob, I realised you'd done it on me again. You'd worked it on me again, you little ratbag, hadn't you? Because when I tried to move, you'd welded me brand new steel toe cap boots to the framework. Anyway, lads, I'm still very attached to you two. And I wish you all the best for the future. Have a great night. See you.
And here he is in person, your old workmate, Ronnie Ravy. Well, after 3 years working together at Bowden, still playing local pubs and clubs in the evening, you decide to become full-time entertainers. You call yourselves the Harper Brothers in those days, but bookings are slow coming in, and when they don't, there's one sound that's music to your ears.
Down, Kim, down.
The barking of the dogs and the voice of your great friend, Nellie Holland.
Oh, yes, Nellie, yes.
I got more job.
Nellie, why was that barking music to the ears of the lads there?
Well, because I used to board dogs, Eammon, and when the boys were resting between show business engagements, they came up to the kennels and did odd jobs to earn a bit of extra cash. And Tom nearly ended his career right there because the fattest dog we had adored him, and one day she bashed the door down to get at him, knocked him flying, and he ended up with his head in the mop bucket and this great beastie sitting on his chest. But, you know, it wasn't instant stardom. They had hard times, and I'm so, so pleased for them that they made it.
Thank you, Nellie Howard. I hope you heard what he whispered in your ear. Any job's going now, he said. Yeah. Well, in 1972, you changed your name from the Harper Brothers to Cannon and Ball, and armed with your new name, you're ready for another assault on fame and success. Well, it's still a long way to the top when you're booked for Panto in Bradford in 1974, not as the stars, but as the broker's man, and where you get used to a regular greeting.
Hello, my darlings.
Who else but Simple Simon from that Panto, one of Britain's favourite funny men, Charlie Drake. Oh, Charlie, I know that you and the lads got on very well when you worked together, but didn't you end up throwing things at one of them?
I did a big slapstick scene on the end of the show, which was quite dangerous, and I said to the actor who'd been booked to play it, now be very careful, because you might slip, you see. And he said, yes, sir, he said. And I was worried about this man, so I called Tommy. I said, Tommy, I want you to watch this scene because you may have to play his part. And Tommy wasn't too keen about that. He said, well, he won't ever be off, will he? I said, it's doubtful. Doubtful. And each night Tommy would stand and watch. And one day the actor broke his ankle making his entrance in the first part of the show. So I went to the side of the stage and Tommy was standing there. I said, Tommy, do you know it? And he said, yes. I said, well, you're going to do it. And he said, when? And I said, now. But after 3 or 4 days, he was tremendous and did tremendously well. And the actor came to me on about the 5th day, and his ankle's still like that. And he said, Mr. Drake, I can go on. I said, well, you can't. Your ankle's that size. He said, it's better. He said, it started getting better the moment that fella walked on and started getting those laughs. So we played the scene that night, which was wonderful, and I thanked Tommy very much for helping me, and he said it was a pleasure. Then I saw Bobby there. And what happened then is the secret of these two boys' success. To be a partnership, you must show great affection towards each other. And I went to Bobby and I said, Bob, were you worried about Tommy playing this part? And he said, no, he said. I was hoping he'd break his ankle so as I could do it.
Thank you, Charlie Drake. Well, 1976 and Cannon and Ball started to become a hit with a wider audience thanks in a roundabout sort of a way to a hit song. The song which in that year won the Eurovision Song Contest.
Your kisses for me, save all your kisses for me.
Saving all their kisses for you. Eurovision Song Contest winners, Brotherhood of Man. Sandra, Lee, Martin and Nicky. Well, now, Martin, I know how much that hit meant to the boys here because for 2 years they toured with you in concert opening the show, right?
That's perfectly correct. And I got to tell you, if you don't enjoy yourself with them, then you don't enjoy yourself. We've watched them so many times from backstage, and, well, actually, it really got us nearly into hot water one night, right, Nick?
Yeah, it was terrifying, because if you remember at Bridlington, Sandra and I had our calm and heated rollers in.
Careless. That was me and Lee, actually.
And, of course, Bobby saw us, and he said to Tommy, oh, he said, look, there's 2 Ilder Ogdens over there. And they went to drag us on stage. He said, look, they're on next, you know. And, of course, we had to exit over the crashing of scenery and everything, you know.
Nearly ruined our career.
Yeah.
I can see that. Thank you, Brotherhood of Man.
One last thing before we close. We're going back to your hometown of Oldham, to that special school, and to Headmaster Glyn Griffith, who knows how much you bring to the lives of those children at Greenbank.
Hello, lads. Thanks for all your help in raising the funds. But it's not just about money, is it? It's about the personal contact, it's the caring about people, it's having your heart in the right place. That's what really matters.
That's what really matters, and the two of you really matter to them, which is why they're here. Some of the boys and girls of Greenbank. Tommy Cannon, Bobby Ball, this is your life. Thank you.